Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Daily Recap. I am Breaky CPK. Of course, this is January 23rd, 2018, and we got a good amount to get into today. And really, it's all going to be on the ESL One Genting event that, of course, kicked off late last night into this morning. And this being our first day recap of what's, nearly a week-long event, actually, to come right here again. So getting right into it, guys, the ESL One Genting event did officially kick off. We're going to do a couple of things here. First thing, I want to start with the positives. I want to start with the event itself. And then, yes, I do plan to give my opinions even on the whole Facebook streaming situation. But before that, again, want to talk about the event, talk results, because I know a majority of people that are probably tuning into this, that's really what they care about. So first things first, the event kicked off. Again, I gave my predictions yesterday, and I got to say, overall, I personally did pretty good with my prediction. There were a couple of hiccups here and there, including Complexity did indeed lose their game to Fnatic, and by lose, I mean they got stomped. It was not even close. Fnatic definitely took it to Complexity. Complexity, frankly, just looked odd. I don't know. It just felt odd. They whether it was jet lag or, whatever excuse you want to use in the book, being a best of one, sometimes you can get these games where one team just dominates the other, and you can overreact to that. I'm not overreacting to it. Do I think Fnatic is that much better team than Complexity? Absolutely not. Obviously, in this best of one, they defeated them, though, and they definitely deserved that victory right there. So Fnatic is a team that can catch some fire here with this new set roster of theirs, and could go deep if things go right. So I'm not necessarily surprised at all to see them with the victory, but yeah, it was a little bit odd seeing Complexity in the way that they played right there. Other results, you had the obvious against Secret moving on. VGJ Thunder did defeat VC Gaming, and then Virtus.pro did take out SG Esports, although it was a lot closer than maybe people would have expected. It only ended up being about a 38-minute match. Excuse me, but most of the game, SG Esports was keeping up with Virtus.pro. They were anywhere within the 1,000 to a couple thousand net worth of VP before finally they were pushing the top lane. They eventually broke through. They were running Ramses on Terrorblade, and Terrorblade is kind of this is a hero this last month especially has just been shooting up the competitive scene as a go-to meta hero. Get it? Once again in the scene right now. So Virtus.pro taking advantage of that. They do eventually come out on top. Other results moving forward in Group A. Secret did then go on to defeat Fnatic 2-0. Now, I'll admit, by this time I was actually already asleep, so I didn't necessarily watch these matches. But just glancing over the results, again, it seems like, fairly comfortable victories overall for Team Secret right here. You look at that Game 1 strategy from Fnatic. A Chen, a Tinker, a Drow strat. They did have 5 range, but, running a Tinker core with a Drow strategy, that seems a little odd to me. But did have the Chen push presence. I'm sure that was fun to take advantage of. But, ultimately Team Secret coming through there. And again, they win that series 2-0. Virtus.pro then went on to defeat VGJ Thunder 2-0 in their series against them, which ultimately got them to the finals. Now, it's important to get to the winter finals because getting to the winter finals guarantees you going to the next round. So no matter what happens from here on out now, Secret and Virtus.pro, they're at least going to be first, second, or third, no matter what happens moving forward. So the winner, of course, will go on to the grand finals, essentially. Or see, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work, to be honest. I couldn't really find information on it. Now, whether or not whoever wins this gets the first seed, or if they just get to the grand finals of Group A, and then they have to play again against the winner of the loser finals. I don't know if that's the case. I could see it either way. I could see them just saying, you know what, you got all the way through the winners. We're just going to go ahead and give you the number 1 seed. So I'm sure we'll get confirmation on that today in terms of that and what to expect there. But anyways, you look at the losers bracket. A little bit unfortunate that this being the first day, teams were already eliminated. And in the case of Planet Dog, who did lose to Complexity 2-0, they are knocked out of the losers bracket, and thus they are done here at the event. So they fly all the way to Genting to be knocked out on the very first day of what's essentially a 7-day event. As much as I've been praising this format, I am not a huge fan of that. That's one thing that does kind of irk me of the event. Now, Group B's sake, the loser teams, they haven't played yet, so at least they get to last another day. But sure, they're ultimately still going to get some of the prize pool. At least I think it's $2,000 for 13th through 16th place. So it's not much money, and they got a vacation of sorts. But it's still pretty shitty, man. It's still pretty shitty flying all the way to a place like Genting in Malaysia there, and then being knocked out on the very first day of again essentially a full week event. So same case for SG Esports. They at least made it a 3-game series against Vici Gaming right there, but ultimately did lose. So them and Planet Dog are officially knocked out of the ESL One Genting event, the first 2 teams to be so. You see the losers bracket advancing on. It will be VGJ Thunder versus Complexity in an elimination match, and Fnatic versus Vici Gaming in their side as well. Somebody's bringing up in chat, they get to the semifinals of the second round. So, yeah, I know that, but again, do they earn the number 1 or the 2 seed? So you're suggesting that they just get the 1 seed then. Okay, so T Vegas in chat is saying, I guess the winner of the winter finals gets the number 1 seed, and thus they go to the semifinals automatically. So I don't know how true that is. I don't know what evidence he necessarily has. Maybe there is some information somewhere, which would be cool. But again, I could see that being the case. That would make sense to me. I could see it both ways. I'm sure by after today's matches, we'll get that information. Looking over to Group B and seeing the results over here, Team Liquid did, of course, defeat Penta. Na'Vi did take out EG. Again, this was I'm trying to remember if I predicted this. I believe I did say Na'Vi. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Anyways, the point is, they did defeat EG again. With EG's new roster, especially, and how they're kind of trying to work it in, Na'Vi has been a very comfortable team as of late. Not surprised necessarily at that result right there. They're going to be matched up against Liquid in the semifinals. That should be a fun one. TNC did move on to defeat Mineski in the Southeast Asian battle. They advance on to now play Newbie in the semifinals because Newbie took out LFY 1-0. So tonight's matches even will include the losers round for Group B of the first round. Penta and Evil Geniuses will square off, and Mineski versus LFY also going to be going out of here for the losers round 1. So again, some good advancement. Ultimately, only the 2 teams being knocked out. Like I said, with Group B, they didn't play their loser matches. We'll get more of these matches and see how things advance on into day 2 now of really these group stages here, and ultimately which teams move on to the playoffs and again claim their share of what's that $400,000 prize pool and the 400 points on top of that. Now, give me a second, guys. Going to drink some water. Okay, so results out of the way. That leads us into now this, well, let's just call it this interesting discussion that's been going on within Twitter, within Reddit, and that's concerning, as kind of expected, we did have a little bit of drama. And by a little bit, I mean, frankly, a lot of drama. We had a lot of drama when it came to the Facebook stream choice of ESL, them announcing a couple of weeks ago that Facebook would be the official stream going into the event, and that people, if they wanted to watch the English official stream, they would have to watch it on Facebook. Now, this obviously brought up a lot of concern in some cases by many vocal people out there that, is Facebook really a platform for streaming? Do they really know what they're doing? Twitch, we're just so used to Twitch. We won't have our emails. Is this really the best move? Again, as I ultimately went to... Sorry, guys, I'm trying here. All right. As I ultimately went to, I'm going to need a second. All right. I'm just so choked up on this Facebook situation. No. All right. So as I said beforehand, Competition is always great, yes, and this was a business decision. I'm sure Facebook did offer up quite a bit of money to ESL to ultimately make this happen, which is understandable. Again, the business side, somebody that's been involved in esports for so long, I always get that. I understand that that is a reality. And ideally, it will be for the better of the overall esports world, specifically Dota 2, and this could ultimately be a great move in the long run. However, naturally, there were concerns once again. In terms of the biggest thing, would they be able to handle the quality? Are they ready for such a big esport event live streaming on Facebook? Okay, so now something I used to do on my previous podcast show that I hosted was a segment that I like to call the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I figured this was kind of appropriate for the ESL One Genting event, specifically dealing with the streaming and how things went. So we'll kind of break it down that way. We'll go over the good first. So as far as the good is concerned with the event so far, the games were good. And ultimately that's what matters, right? The games are good. They were watchable in the end, and you were able to at least see most of them, and they were good games. So the event itself happening, that's definitely a good. It didn't seem like there were many schedule conflicts outside of the initial delay that they had, which I'll get into in a second here. But outside of the initial stream starting, it seems like things went fairly smooth in the end. Talent's doing a great job. They have top-tier talent there. Not surprising. Everyone doing a great job, having some fun with it. Again, it is just the group stages right now, so we're not going to see too much just yet, but I'm sure we're going to see plenty more, when it comes to the actual stage and everything. But doing a great job. The players and the talent, from what I've seen on Twitter and talking with a couple people, it seems like that they are being taken very well care of, having a good time there at the event. Production itself is ultimately solid, and I want to be clear on that. When it comes to the actual production of mix of audio, video, the cuts that they have, some video content, it is ultimately a good job. I mean, it is ultimately a solid event, guys. Let's not over dramatize the idea of what the Facebook streaming, whether or not you agree with it, take away from the fact that the event itself, and again, the production even, is doing solid, and you wouldn't expect anything less from ESL, frankly. So overall, graphics, everything in that side, it's not perfect by any means, but it's, for being day number one of a pretty big event here, I think they're doing just fine. And my last good that I have right here, there is still plenty of time to prove that the Facebook streaming platform can work out. And again, this is day number one of what's going to essentially be I keep saying a week long, but it's about a 5-6 day event, and it looks like it's a 5-day event. I guess technically 6 days. Anyways, they still have plenty of time left to really make it work, fix the kinks, etc. moving forward here, and to prove that it can work out. So day number one reactions, understandable, it happens. Now, speaking of those day number one reactions, that leads me into the bad/ugly. We'll just kind of put it together right here. Okay, so on my list, my first biggest issue, starting from the very beginning, somebody that I consider myself, again, for how long I've been around the scene, and somebody that's pretty traversed when it comes to finding streams and being able to watch a lot of different esports, specifically Dota 2. Normally, you just have to go to Twitch, you load up the stream, and then you're good. Again, in this case, being Facebook, understandably, there was a lot of confusion. Where the hell do we go? And so I did a couple of things. The first thing that I did was I actually went to ESL Dota TV on Facebook. I typed it in the search bar, and then it pulled up the ESL Dota 2 page. And I noticed on there, like, a video started. I thought that was a stream at first. The video started playing. I'm like, oh, that's actually not the stream. There's all these pictures and everything. Again, it's a typical Facebook page. Where's the live stream? And you have to scroll down a little bit, and eventually you find, okay, set reminder for the stream's going to be starting soon. And this was around 10:15 my time, East 10:15 p.m. The stream was set to start at 10:30 p.m. And so I'm like, okay, I set the reminder, figure, okay, it'll let me know when the stream starts. So 15 minutes later, the stream supposed to start. I go to look for it, and it's still not up. And then I noticed that the reminder thing, it then suggested now the new time is 10:45 p.m. Okay, so they're having delays, having some issues. Whatever, okay, hopefully it works soon. 10:45 comes around. it now says now starting at 11 p.m. So essentially they just kept pushing back this stream is starting soon, and I kept getting these notifications. Stream will be live in a couple of minutes, and I go to it, and then it's not live. It then says it's going to be 50 minutes later. Obviously, off the bat, this is a very, very frustrating experience. And yes, delays happen, especially day one for big events. Again, no one knows more than me. I understand that completely. But when you're attempting to show to the essentially the Twitch audience and the world of Dota 2 and the viewership and everything, that when you make such a big move such as this, as choosing Facebook as a live stream platform, these delays are just amplified that much more, and completely understandably, frankly. You can make these points that it's, this is ultimately for the better, and, money's good to have in the scene, yada, yada. That doesn't matter, though. Throw that away, because ultimately people want to watch the matches. That's all that we care about in the end. We just care about watching the games, and when you make the announcement that you're going to be having on a completely different platform than what we're used to, and then you have these delays initially, we're frustrated, and I was one of the many that was frustrated by that. Now, as a result of that, we found ourselves watching Peter Pan Dam. It turns out that he decided him and the Optic Gaming boys would casually watch and observe it was the Complexity Fnatic match initially, because again, at this point there still wasn't a stream up that really anyone could find. And so they started streaming it, and obviously their viewership starts going up. And then eventually the secondary stream did go up. And again, you go back to that Facebook page, you can find it there. But even with it, I found myself still very confused on, okay, is this where the stream's going to be? Eventually, I was linked to this, and I'm not even sure how I found it. I think somebody tweeted this to me, live.esl-1.com. It's like, oh, okay, so here's here's a site that they're giving us that we actually should be using or to help watch the matches. Okay, cool, it's a hub for it. This makes sense. However, there was an issue with this off the bat where even when the streams finally got started a good 30 minutes later or so, both the main stream and ESL One 2 stream were the same stream, and they were both the secondary stream. So we weren't even able to see the mainstream match, which not only the match itself, but again the initial production with the panel and Red Eye opening and everything. No one really saw that, and by no one, maybe a little bit dramatic, but maybe like 500 people if they happen to go specifically on the Facebook page itself and start that very specific stream, which I eventually ended up doing because I realized that's what was going on here. And then when I did that, there was massive lag issues. Now, again, with a different platform, the settings going to be different, etc., whatever. And, maybe it's not going to be the same viewing experience because of that. And, I understand that, as frustrating as it is for me. I understand that. But a lot of other people in the Twitter world were suggesting that they were having similar issues. And so I definitely don't think I was in the minority there by stating that I was just having massive lag issues off the bat. So even when I was trying to give my support to Facebook stream and watch the mainstream, which again I had to really dig for to find, it wasn't even working. It wasn't even really working off the bat. So it was a frustrating experience. I found myself both watching one of the games in client, and then I actually ended up tuning in a PPD stream, because at that point I felt like that was my only option, because they were clearly having issues on the Facebook side when it came to try to watch the matches over there. So yeah, the hub itself having those issues. Now again, from my understanding, I eventually fell asleep by the time I guess they got this fixed, but from my understanding, later on in the night they did eventually get it fixed to where these two should now be correct. So this site is decent. It is a solid site. Again, they do have great information here on the right-hand side. You can take a look at the score updates, what the schedule is and everything coming up. I mean, that's great. But this one issue here, when people are attempting to watch a new streaming platform essentially, and it's not even working off the bat, again, goes back to very, very frustrating experience with when you're trying to launch a new idea right here. So, I'm looking at my bullet points right here. So, we had these issues initially. Later on in the night, it seems like most of them did get figured out. I will say I did pull up the stream once again a couple hours later on, and it did seem a bit smoother. And frankly, when I was able to watch it on the Facebook side, the quality was damn good. Again, I got to hear, the caches that I expected. The quality was good. The matches were good. Like, okay, this ended up getting into a good experience, a little bit down the line. I miss Twitch chat a bit, I'm not going to lie, and instead I get these freaking faces flying across the bottom of my screen, which, yes, can be turned off. I understand that, but why that's even a thing is ridiculous to me, and I'm sure many others would agree. So that's, okay, things were starting to, get a little bit better. We did have a little bit more unfortunate news that I woke up to this morning, where I guess Admiral Bulldog specifically was attempting to cast some of the matches. Or not attempting, I think he was initially. But then apparently he was then sent some tweets by a couple of different people, including a Russian analyst and Epicenter manager, I guess, that were essentially getting to the point where they were not saying that it was 100% going to happen, but they were suggesting that he stop streaming them with the possibility that there could be a DMCA, claim taking down his stream, etc. We're back to here, and here we go again. It's round number 2. We went through this, what was it, the Dota Pit qualifiers, I think it was, way back, or the event itself, with the whole Grand situation specifically. And after that, Valve made the statement that streamers, they're fine with it. You're allowed to actually cast matches from the in-game client as long as you're not, you're not pushing your own sponsorship and everything and on advertisements, and as long as you're using your own camera work. So, I didn't watch Bulldog stream, so whether or not he was doing that, I can't say for sure. But it sucks that here we are again. But again, it goes back to that. The idea, I want this to work. I want the Facebook stream to work, please. And I know so many people out there are with me on this, that we want this to work. We understand there's plenty of smart people out there that understand the business side and where ESL is coming from with wanting to push this idea. But ESL has to understand, as well as some of the people that have been tweeting defending them, which, again, I get why they're doing it, but guys, we just want to watch some fucking Dota. That's all this comes down to. We just want to enjoy and watch some good Dota. If that means watching it on a Facebook stream, Twitch stream, YouTube, wherever, Ustream, like, ultimately it doesn't matter. Change is unfortunate, or it's not unfortunate, but it's frustrating initially, sure, but it gets to a point ideally where it's okay. And maybe we will get to that point still. Hopefully, very likely we will, in fact. But I guess that's where I'm ultimately going to be coming from here, is that the whole arguments that are being brought up, that constantly suggesting and trying to really defend what's going on here, and saying how people shouldn't be frustrated by this, like they shouldn't be whiny about this. Fuck that. We just want to watch some Dota. Again, it all comes back to that. Like that's what this all stems from. That's what this all goes back to. So, make the platform work, prove with the quality, prove with the results in the end, in the coming days right here. And I guarantee you all this whininess that's been happening, be it justifiable, absolutely, will go away, and we'll remember ESL One Genting for the great event that it can, and I hope will be, with the format and everything, and the teams that are there. So that's what this ultimately goes back to. I had an analogy here. I don't even know if it's worth bringing up at this point. I think I've made my point pretty clear. But I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the analogy that I had here to try to help, again, kind of understand where I'm coming from. I know many others are. Change is always a frustrating experience. And going back to that, you can look at Twitch as basically the television. It's already established video content that people know how to use and search for specific channels, whatever they want to watch. It's engraved. We're used to using Twitch to find these streams. Facebook is radio, in a sense that, you use it for messages. I'm kind of trying to make an electronic comparison, but it's the radio where, sure, in the case that you would turn it on to listen to music, or, you don't expect to see anything, you just expect to hear it, and you can be in the other room, whatever. But You just use it for that purpose. You don't turn on your radio expecting to then see all of a sudden something happen. Now, it's almost like the radio is introducing a video radio. That's kind of what Facebook is doing here with the streaming content, with the live streaming content, and we're not really being told how to ultimately use it, or really, frankly, even showing how to use it. It's kind of just like some random links here and there that we have to really dig for and find. And understandably, people are like, what the fuck is this? Like, I turn on my radio, and now I have to somehow find this video content on the radio. You know, I'm used to listening to stuff, but how do I watch it on here? I don't know. That's a horrible comparison. I don't think about it. Anyways, you kind of, hopefully that helps understand the point a little bit more when it comes down to it. So, oh yeah, one last thing that is being brought up. The video on demands, there's an issue with that as well, where a lot of people rely on the VODs to perhaps watch matches, whether it's because of the time or the quality issues that they were dealing with or whatever, the lag. On Twitch, again, they're so used to being able to just watch the past broadcasts, etc. But on Facebook, that's another issue that's being brought up. It's like, where the hell do we watch the VODs? Now, I am noticing, as the day has gone on here, I believe that they're cutting up the VODs and posting them on the ESL Dota 2 Facebook. From what I can tell, I've seen like the first 3 or 4 matches posted there, so it is something that's coming, it seems like. But again, it's taking a little bit of time. The information, it would be great if this site had that on here. Maybe they're going to introduce it, like, you know, where you click on this and it would say watch VOD. Like, that would be fucking awesome. That would be okay. You know, you go to this hub, you can watch the VOD here. That makes sense. Information, you know, having the information for us, making sure the quality's there, making sure it works. We just want to watch some Dota 2, damn it, ESL. And I know that we can with the coming days, and you're going to do a great job, I'm sure. But please, please, please understand that's where all of this is coming from. Okay. There you go. That's the daily recap, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. I know I went on a bit of a rant right there, quite a bit, but hopefully, again, that gives a better understanding of where people are coming from. And for those that are trying to defend what ESL is doing here, again, I understand that as well, but you also really have to see where we are coming from. And by we, I mean the vocal that are on the social media all over the place. And what's going on here with the Facebook stream in ESL One Genting. With all that in mind, I really do look forward to tonight's matches. I have to wait and see how it plays out. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks as always for tuning in to the Daily Recap, January 23rd, 2018. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, all over the place, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night, guys. All right. Jesus.